15.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Heroes World Quarantine Podcast, Part 2. This is our mixed bag
John.
episode. It's been a while since we've done something like this, so here we
Whoa,
go.
this guy is evoking Nickelback.
No one recognized that except for you.
Yeah. Welcome. I'm your host, Stupe, joined by always by one of the owners and proprietors of Heroes World. That would be John Ho. Say hello.
What's up, folks?
And of course, our resident prince of mischief, Mr. Rob Cadet.
Hey, everybody. What's going on?
And special guest star, just like Heather Locklear, our Blue Jay super fan. And for those people who don't recognize Melrose Place, Heather Locklear was always just a special guest star.
The original Melrose Place.
She was basically a cast member, but I think from a contractual point, when you say special guest star, they could pay her more. Or
Can you use a less dated reference? Because I didn't watch Melrose Place.
Also, I wanted to bang Heather Locklear from Melrose Place, and now I don't have the same feelings for our special guest today. So can we?
I thought she was hot in like Spin City, but that was it.
Whoa! Talk about dated references. Way to go!
Spin City came after Melrose Place.
Hey, I'll even throw him better. How about LAX? that one season show.
No one knows
LAX.
That's to me. LAX is an airport.
Yeah,
but anyways.
Yeah, I of course remember her and T.J. Hooker with Mr. Bill Shatner, the two of them.
All right, ready? I'm going to go even further. Return of the Swamp Thing.
No! Where we go?
GTFO. Get out of here.
Heather Locklear, Return of the Swamp Thing.
Oh gosh, here we go. Welcome.
That's the show, everybody. See ya.
Go Jays, go!
Go Jays, go! Welcome in the Blue
Speaking
Jays.
About BJ's.
Oh boy, here we go. All right, they don't know what's coming to them. It's going to be a bunch of fastballs. I am clearly a submarine pitcher coming in on the in the sixth.
Wait, hang on.
Heads up, I'm a bad catcher. I'm a bad catcher.
I could just tell because you did this, John. I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're doing.
He's doing all the single ladies. He's dancing.
You're like,
I don't even know. I don't even know which hand do you get the glove for? Do you get it for your dominant hand?
the one you want.
because you have to throw. You want to throw with your dominant hand.
Yeah, but which
right?
is your throwing arm? You don't have a throwing arm. This is the problem. So for you might as well just get two gloves.
Unless you're ambidextrous like Pat Verdette, and then you can go both hands.
Right, not Rob Gadet, Pat Verdette.
But typically, what would you do? Would you get the glove on your dominant?
The left?
hand?
No, not your dominant.
No.
Your dominant hand, you got to
So you
throw
can
with.
throw it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Your strong arm you throw with, the other hand you catch with. Yes, that's how
All right.
it works.
It's a dumb
This has
sport
been
anyway.
Sports Minute with John Ho.
No. John is learning. He knows everything about basketball now, right?
Nope.
So now we're gonna make him watch a baseball
As he watched
show.
Space Jam, he's like, "Yes, this is how it works." Where I that train wreck of a movie, Space Jam, which
Yeah. If anyone's asking for when we're going to do Space Jam content,
We're not.
we're not. Sorry.
let me just say, that movie was so poorly made. LeBron, thank you, but geez, this was just a DC Warner Brothers IP property, and every character in the background just looked like they tried to bring all the characters from the Warner Brothers universe into this movie, but every time I looked in the background, they looked like the people that were standing outside on Yonge Street or like on Hollywood Boulevard, the collecting money. Like all the people there just looked like the poor man's
But
version.
Stu, it worked in Ready, Set, Go. Is that what the movie was called? The
Ready
virtual
Player
reality
One.
game? Ready Player One, yeah. It worked in Ready Player One. Ready, Set, Go. I watched it.
So
I just can't remember.
Stu, would you rather watch Space Jam again, or would you watch that movie Crossover with Anthony Mackie and Wayne Brady?
Space Jam.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Topic number one. We are recovering from this thing called a global pandemic. COVID-19 is affecting the world in various different ways. Movie theaters are back. We've had people going to the theater. However, news has recently come down that Paramount may be shifting their release schedule. Maybe instead of putting it in movie theaters, they'll just go streaming or hold off. And we made lots of fun about Rob and Bond being held back multiple times. And it could happen again. The release dates could be pushed back again. I want to know Ron's
God.
thoughts. I want to know, Shang-Chi is coming out in September, but based on the numbers of America and the rising, COVID numbers and things that are happening, studios want to make money. And, there's been difficulties with, stars now potentially, fighting back about release schedules, and maybe we should hold back till after this pandemic is over. But I could see the side of studios going, the pandemic will never be over. This is a thing going on forever. So, John, do you think that Shang-Chi and these movies that are scheduled for September, are they going to be released in the theaters? Are they going to be pushed back? Let's do Nostradamus, look in your crystal ball, like these September releases. Are they coming out?
I think September releases are still going to happen. I think if we experience a new lockdown, whatever, I want to say it's not going to happen till November, before they pull October, November. I don't know, whatever. I don't know. Is one of your follow-up questions, should they be doing the digital release or whatever, or are we going to do that later?
We'll get to that, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I think September movies are still going to hit for sure. I think it's too close for them to start pulling the plugs,
because you go by weeks and weeks, and the numbers are rising in America. The Canadian numbers are slowly moving up, so this could be difficult in terms of getting people to go to the theaters and being comfortable. We know one of our panelists here is normally that was with us. Andre is not comfortable to going to the theater yet. We are going to do a Fast 9 review, but he wanted to wait for a digital release, and we're going to do it together, but that means it's going to be a little longer than expected
because we're family.
Drinking Coronas, which was very much highlighted in this movie.
Yeah, it's still in a very prevalent theme in the Rocky movies, apparently, according to Rob.
I don't.
Maybe I'll fight Apollo. Maybe I won. Maybe I'll go see family.
That wasn't bad, John. You should talk like that the entire podcast. It wasn't terrible.
Hey, shut up, Pat.
It wasn't the best alone, but it wasn't the worst.
Yeah. So, Rob, what are your thoughts?
Oh, Stu, as always, is a very complicated answer. Just quickly to refute, or not refute, but just what John said is that it's too far away. They won't pull the trigger. They've pulled the trigger a week before movies were coming out.
Like Bond.
Like Bond got hooved in the nuts 8 days before it was going to be released for the 9th time. It's a complicated answer in so much as that, yes, the numbers are going up in the U.S. Obviously, that's the biggest driver of the box office in North America. The numbers are slowly creasing up in Canada again. Things could change on a dime. We are only at August 1st today. It is completely conceivable that Disney will pull some of these movies into September that are scheduled for September out. It's very possible. The flip side is that we're starting to see a lot of businesses, this is a long-winded answer, a lot of businesses in the US that cater to public entrance, like the Largo Comedy Store in LA, some theaters in the US. I think the Alamo might be doing it, and I could be wrong, but they're now requesting that you have to show proof of double vaccination and or a clean COVID test 48 hours before entering their facility. Plus all entrants have to wear a mask. Now, I can see a lot of theaters saying, you know what? We can't afford to shut down again. We're going to kind of adopt this type of a screening process and procedure for the theaters. I think they can bake a lot of that stuff into the apps if you're purchasing the tickets online. I think you could easily say, yes, I'm vaccinated. You can provide your contact information. They will have to wear masks throughout the course of the theater, which you are supposed to now unless you're eating. But let's be honest, everybody takes a mask off when you start eating. You don't really put it back on for the duration of the movie in the theater. The theaters in Ontario, at least, are at 50% capacity. I actually just went yesterday to see Fast 9. I've already got tickets for Suicide Squad this coming week. And so I'm okay going to the theater, but I think we are going to get into a situation of, I guess, to say a have or have not, or a vaccinated, unvaccinated, whether you agree with that everybody should be, or it should be a personal individual choice. I think private businesses are going to be allowed to dictate and set the terms of whether or not individuals they want to come in to the theater. And if you are not vaccinated and you don't sign off on that waiver, then you have to submit some type of a COVID test within 48 hours of that movie. I can actually see that happening as a way for theaters to maintain their status of being open and to have the movies continue to play. The problem is this fourth wave is pretty potent. So it is also conceivable that they'll start pulling movies. I think Shang-Chi is safe for beginning of September. I unfortunately think Bond, Dune, Eternals, and everything else deep into the fall are at risk again. Sorry, it's a long-winded answer, but I think we have to cover those.
Yep. No,
options.
I think so. And if you are Disney right now or Paramount or any of those big studios, you have to imagine that, Rob, to your point, safety is important, but that cuts out half of your viewing base. Because before it was everyone would go to a theater. But if you are now saying that, half of you can't go, if you look at the numbers in the US, it's not even 50%. So you're cutting out all the 50% people that aren't, that are choosing not to be vaccinated at this time. So that's a big chunk of people that you're like, you can't come to the theater. I don't know whether the studios are comfortable giving up that money because, and even, there's an ecosystem in terms of Hollywood where, if you're an executive producer or actor, you get money not only just based on the role itself, but as performance bonuses, as how the movie does, or you'll get money on the back end in terms of DVD sales or in terms of a whole bunch of things. And that commission also goes to your team of people and to your agents. So, one person as an actor, like, they made, $20 million. Well, actually, it's cut a bunch of different ways. They're no different than professional athletes where, they have agent fees, they have, a bunch of fees they have to split. So just because you make X amount in salary for a movie doesn't mean you keep all of it. And there are also taxes. So it is an interesting, predicament that they're in, because I'm sure at this point more actors would say, let's wait on the side of caution, unless you are, for example, Warner Brothers, who we discussed this in a previous pod, basically paid everyone based on performance. Like, we predicted this movie was going to make $1 billion. Gal Gadot, here's your bonus for making that money, and we're going to go. But that was Warner Brothers sinking. I think they said something in the line of almost $1 billion in loss, just based on everything for bonuses and all this other stuff. I don't think Disney is looking to move that route. But Pat, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think they're going to Charlie Brown Rob again? We're going to be in October the 1st, and I October the 8th is when the No Time to Die comes out, and then you and me, Pat, are going to go on a podcast again and make fun of Rob because they just took it away from him again.
More like no time to watch this movie. But like, as long as I feel like as long as the government is not mandating like a full shutdown, theaters are definitely, and studios are definitely going to push it out. Because I just feel like you guys are saying, from the box office perspective, the thing is, people don't really consider it serious until the government tells you. So, and even then, there's still a lot of people against it, right? So as long as the government of whatever country you're in says you guys are allowed to open, they're gonna keep pushing it out, right? Like, I mean, it really, like, in Ontario, I don't know how it is in the States, but like Rob was saying, when we went to the theater, they give you capacity, they make it so that you sit X amount of seats apart from each other, you have to stay in your seats, and you have to follow these rules, and even then it's not that packed. Right, maybe like there's a lot less foot traffic, and even when John and I went to watch a movie like last couple of weeks, it was just kind of like younger kids, right? It wasn't like we're not seeing the same level of people that were going, the same type of people that were going, and I feel like it does make a difference. But I feel like from the perspective of like the movies of the people that made these movies, I feel like unless they are required to shut it down, they will, which means, like Rob was saying, I think Shang-Chi is definitely going to hit the theaters, right? But maybe some of the Christmas movies, maybe not.
Because you look at it,
and that's it's going to be, I think it's going to be driven by government mandate or whatever community mandate you're in.
Like, you look at the experience we can all tap into about watching Endgame. All of us probably watched in the theater, how packed it was, how many people were waiting before the theater, before the movie, but after the movie, like just the excitement of that. And even watching Black Panther in the theater to have the buzz and electricity of all those people going. And Marvel was banking on Shang-Chi to be the next thing and have people go. And it just seems like a big bummer that that's not going to happen because there's too many people. It's like even 50% or whatnot. It's just going to be such a difficult situation. I guess Shang-Chi, they can do it because it's not Scarlett Johansson. The people being paid for this movie are all, it can't be that much. And their back end's probably small too. So it's not a big deal because who's the most famous person in this movie of Shang-Chi?
Aquafina.
Aquafina, and I can't imagine that Aquafina is like, I'm going to turn down this movie because I need more back end. It's like, well, I want to be in a Marvel movie. So whatever, it's good. It's probably built into the contracts if they do more movies, how that operates.
The worst part about like Shang-Chi is that I would hate for them to use this as an excuse to say Asian American stars can't carry the box office, right?
You're going to hear that though. You are, regardless of whether or not, even if it was at full capacity and it made a lot. Yes, you're right. But there is going to be a segment of the population that is going to make that as a narrative. You're never going to escape that unless it made Black Panther money. Well, and it's shitty and it sucks, but that's the reality.
Well, Pat, that's the question. Is that the narrative right now for G.I. Joe, Snake Eyes? Is that the narrative that people are saying? Because it's a couple Asian leads, it's based in Asia. Is that the buzz that's they're saying that, oh, this wasn't, Asians can't carry this film? Or is it just because the movie wasn't good? Because you watched it.
Yes.
I think it's reception.
And that
I think
says it all.
I think it's reception of. I think it's reception of the movie.
So was it good or bad?
People are not liking. I haven't heard any.
I enjoyed the movie, but I also don't really care about G.I. Joe as a source material. So for me, it was an action movie painted with G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Like that movie could have been not G.I. Joe and
been better.
And it might have been better.
Yeah.
It could have been Ninja Assassin 2021.
Yeah,
that probably wouldn't have sold any tickets. That's a horrible title.
Yeah, exactly.
It's same with Cruella. Like Cruella, the film just should have been its own movie, but you add Cruella to it because you need IP to drag it forward.
I agree with Pat. I think there is a concern that is going to be a narrative. I think it's wrong. But I'm just going to quickly pivot and say, so I bought my tickets for the Suicide Squad, and even though the theaters in Ontario, I believe it's 50% capacity. It is still a little nerve-wracking when you're trying to figure out where other people could potentially be sitting and where you want to sit. In so much as that the Green Knight is currently out and I want to go see it this weekend, and every showing in my area in which I could go to pick the seats, that theater even at 50% capacity is 80% sold out. And It's a little bit nerve-wracking for me to be like, okay, where am I going to sit? Because you got your 2 seats and then they have 2 empties and you got 2 full seats. And there's a little bit of an anxiety there. Like, oh, that seems kind of close to other people. Right. So we also there is also that variable, that factor of people's anxieties.
Rob. You have to buy 4 seats, Rob. And then you have or 5 seats. And then you have a 2-seat cushion plus 2. So you have 4-seat cushion.
And at the moment the movie starts, get a refund.
Yeah.
On those
they didn't show up. I need these ones refunded.
You never done that? You never bought a seat just to refund it afterwards when somebody didn't show up?
No, because I believe in living my life
quarter mile
at a time. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we're a family.
He was hoping that Jacob
your family, you buy them tickets, and if they don't show up, they're still your family, but you can need your refund.
Yeah, so I don't know, Stu. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen this fall. I don't know. I think the important question, your next follow-up question, is about, should these things go to streaming?
That's correct. Should this go to streaming, John?
Shang-Chi
go to streaming?
No, I want to say no, because we've seen we've seen the drop off. Like so this is purely speaking math wise. This is not speaking of like what's right, what's wrong, feelings. what's right. Morally whatever obligated that the studio should do. But as a numbers, purely looking at box office, every time something has a digital premiere release, the second week is a humongous drop off, and especially that opens up, the entire bootleg scene as well. Now they have access to a 4K version of this digital movie that they can upload to their sites and stuff. Yeah. So by not offering it to a digital option, they will maximize their box office. If that's where the numbers got to go, which it seems like, I guess that's what they want. They want box office numbers, not streaming premiere purchases or whatever. I think that's what they got to do. They got to say, hey, these are going to theaters. Sorry, you're not comfortable. You're going to have to wait, I guess, 45 days. I feel like they probably should start extending that or whatever. But if you're looking at it purely number wise, no, they should not. They should just drop them in theaters, force people to go see it. Don't give the digital pirates the opportunity to have that crispy, clean copy. Like me and Pat saw Fast and the Furious, 2 weeks ago?
They're Fast 9.
Yeah, Fast 9, whatever.
Fast 9.
Yeah, whatever it's called. And then now you can have it at home, full digital copy. And I'm sure there are people obtaining it by non-legal means who might have had it even a week ago, you know. So that no one's going to see it after that, especially if you hear, you know, maybe it's not so good, but at least you would have to see for yourself. But now you can watch it at home digitally. So I don't know.
Rob, what are your thoughts?
So again, it's interesting because much like that ship that ran aground in the Suez Canal, everything's backing up. And if you all of a sudden pull a lot of these movies and now you flip them into 2022, you've got a major backlog. And so you say, okay, 2022, things are getting a little bit better. And you're releasing these major movies, a couple of them on the same weekend, weekend after weekend after weekend, just to try to, because you need those revenues from those movies help to also fund future movies. And so if you're going to dilute the waters with so much product and so much options for people, you're not going to make money either. So listen, we're not mathematicians by any stretch of the imagination. You know, nobody's graduated from Harvard here. We're not Sloan Sabbath from the newsroom with degrees in math.
Look at this guy.
But we are, but that is a real world concern. I do think you have to, though, pay attention to the fact that Black Widow made $60 million on Disney Plus in its opening weekend. Now, yeah, you're right, John. There is the people who are going to take those. You're going to be able to pirate it. You're going to get it for free. I think if you're going to pay for it, you're going to pay for it. I think if you're going to pirate, you're going to pirate regardless. I don't know if that's necessarily people are just jumping on the pirating bandwagon, right? Yeah. Like, it's the same thing with music back in the days. You know, talking about Empire Records earlier. You're either going to go to the store and buy your CD single or your CD or whatever it was, or you're going to try to download it for 10 hours off of Napster. If that was your inclination to do so, regardless of whether or not it was on sale.
No, but I think
whoa, Rob.
If it's a CAM version,
back in the day,
4K version, then I think
back in the day, you would listen to the radio, record it, and just as before the DJ turns on, just turn off this.
Yeah, like, you put pause. You hit pause so that way you could come back. So, you know, I think
that's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I think there is a market.
Buy your CDs from Columbia House, like I thought that's what people did.
That's another thing too.
Yeah, no, I never did.
Columbia House. Yeah.
I didn't like the terms of the contract. There is
Pat will tell us about Columbia House in a second. Yes.
There is something to be said though about seeing some of these movies on the big screen, but then it's just as equal as seeing something at home. And I think that if Disney was to, I think they have a greater chance of going Disney plus theater in September as opposed to pulling it from September. I just don't see it happening. Would I prefer to watch Bond in October on the big screen? For sure. But if I've waited now 2 years, I just give it to me at this point, right? I mean, I watch these movies at home anyways after when I purchase them on Blu-ray. So,
All right, Pat, give us your thoughts.
I think by this time in the pandemic, all these movie studios expect potentially losses, right? So here's where you sit at your table and just say, listen, do we want to just push this out the door, take the hit on it? Or do we want to, like Rob said, back up your movie backlog, right? That's a decision that movie studios need to make. Maybe if you're a smaller movie studio, you just don't have that option. But if you're Marvel or something, you might as well just push it out push it to online, push it to streaming, take the loss and move on, right?
Well, there is some litigation stuff that's popping as well because of pushing it out. So there are ramifications that we're gonna talk about.
But then at that point, with what we were saying about WB and Wonder Woman 84, maybe Marvel should have just taken the $1 billion loss and said, here you go, Scarlett Johansson, here's your money. there's a possibility we may breach his contract. Let's just nip this in the bud, right? I think that was the problem. The problem was nobody knew anything about that specific litigation, right? But if you do that with Shang-Chi, what, you're going to tell Benedict Wong, I'm sorry, your 30-second cameo, whatever you're supposed to get, here it is up front, right? Yes. And Awkwafina, you think Awkwafina is going to be the type of person that would be like, I need my, you think she would have her page driven into the box office? Probably not, with all due respect.
So here's where I'll play devil's advocate to your point, though, Pat, is that Disney Plus didn't feel like they needed to pay their stars in advance the way WB did, because Disney Plus was already an existing streaming service for over a year and a half before Black Widow comes out. And it had already generated, was it 90 million users or 110 million users? So whereas WB's, like the WB Max or HBO Max, it had just kind of kicked off right before Wonder Woman 84 came out. And so the bean counter said, well, we can pay these Gal Gadot and the director, Patty Jenkins, we can give them their 50 million each for their stuff. We're going to get that revenue twofold over. And as we've seen in the trades, HBO Max subscribers are not dropping off. They're increasing their subscriber count month to month. Now, obviously it's moot for us in Canada, but in the US, they are increasing subscriber count and they're making that money back anyway. So it was a calculated and probably a very smart decision on them to be able to push out that movie, because that was what got people hooked on HBO Max in the US at the time.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, as from Disney's perspective, that's why I'm saying you just take the loss, right? However much, just take it from just pocket it. Just give them their X amount of dollars if they really need to. Get it out the door, right? I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm not saying get it out the door like it was trash. Sure. But I mean, push it out the door because there's other things.
Get it into the world.
Yeah, because there is a negative connotation about straight to video. That was the thing back in the day when it was like, this movie's not that good.
Straight to the video.
Putting it straight to video.
Yeah. I feel like they'd have to develop a whole marketing campaign to combat that whole straight to video and the whole box office numbers that they have to say, oh, you know what, we're not worried about box office numbers. Like spin a whole thing where it's like, oh, we want this out. This is a piece of art.
At the end of the day,
don't care how much it makes. We want it out to fans.
I don't think it's I don't think at the end of the day, John, the studios care how much it makes as much as the talent cares, because you got to pay all these people. So that's a bigger thing. Like Studio wants to make money, but at the end of the day, there's an ecosystem in Hollywood that's based on basically performance bonuses. That's how much they can basically, just like sports. You do good in one movie, that's what dictates your next rate, and your success basically indicates your pay for the next movie, whether you can get something made for foreign distribution. Like that's the same reason Bruce Willis gets all these movies made, because his name carries weight in like Indonesia.
Oh man, he just dropped something new too, didn't he?
Yeah,
it's
a
like
new movie.
The most terrible thing on the planet, right?
Yeah, a movie with the girl from Transformers, Megan
Fox.
So yeah, a movie with Megan Fox. But yeah, so that what matters too is that your name recognition
Cosmic
matters.
Sin.
Yes, and that's and Ridley Scott talked about that too, in about when he made his big movie with Christian Bale and Joel Edgerton, and say, I wanted to make it more of a movie that had people of that ethnicity, but we couldn't get the financing because people wouldn't want to watch that movie. That was a different time and different base, but that was frankly the economics of movies. You need a name, you need social media presence, and that's what gets made. So Pat, in your History Corner, what is Columbia House for the young kids at home? What is Columbia House?
Columbia House was a subscription service where you had to guarantee to buy X amount of CDs from them. Oh, CDs, like music CDs every year. But what they do is they hook you by giving you like 10 or 12 CDs for like $1. And then you're guaranteed to buy, they make you buy more CDs throughout the year. Right. So but the thing is, the CDs that they have, they're never always brand new. So you couldn't get like the newest Britney CD until like the next album comes out, right? So
how is that available? When are you just shutting up Britney because that's what you know? Because I have a different list of what our family obtained from that first scam.
Oh no, because I got my copy of Hit Me Baby One More Time, like the album from Columbia House.
Oh really? Wow.
I don't know where it is, but I got
So Pat's list is probably Britney and a bunch of Backstreet Boys.
It was no. It was Britney, Christina. There were a couple of soundtracks.
I knew it was Aguilera. Yep.
It was Christina. It was Britney. There were a couple of movie soundtracks. I don't remember what.
Space Jam.
Maybe I don't remember.
It was a good soundtrack. It was a good soundtrack. Yep.
Oh,
I had
man.
I had TLC. I didn't have Backstreet Boys because I don't think Backstreet Boys were available.
No,
Well,
not,
Well, they
not,
probably were not on the label.
not
yeah.
yet. Yeah, they were too
right.
big.
Whatever deal they had. They also did videos, but videos are more expensive, so I never bothered.
Rob, did you actually not participate in the service? Like,
Yeah,
do you remember it?
I never did the
Or do you have a
CD
list of 10?
No, because for me, Columbia House was always movies. It was VHS movies, and you used to get the little stamps because you could put them on. You used to, I think it was like in a magazine, or you get it once a month in like the Toronto Star or some paper, and you'd have like this little booklet, kind of like the Monopoly booklet you get from McDonald's, and then you'd have these stickers. So you could pick off all of these, and you would stick them on, and then you could sign your life away and mail it into Columbia House, and you'd start getting these movies. I remember it was a huge push in '89 for Batman. Right? They were like, hey, we have Batman in Columbia House. And you're like, oh my God. And my mom was always like, no, we're not doing it. We have two videos. We have two video stores in this small little town. You can go and you can rent them and this and that. You're not doing Columbia House. We're not doing it. So
yeah, because you could rent videos, but you couldn't rent music CDs.
Yeah. So, but at that time, it was tapes. I was in a smaller town. Yeah, VHSs. But like cassette tapes. We didn't have even CDs back then. Like, I'm a little bit older.
So we got at least 3 different eras. I don't know where Stu's gonna fall if you ever participated in it. I very clearly remember Vanilla Ice, To the Extreme, MC Hammer, and the Simpsons soundtrack. Stu, are you in the middle?
Wow.
I'm the same age as Sarah, so I'm not that far off. So yeah.
So as always, I'm the youngest one.
Pat is the youngest. Yeah.
That's why I'm surprised that Brittany was on that service.
I'm only like 3 years younger than you, John. Like it's not that far off.
I'm saying. So I'm the old fart then, is what you guys are saying. Yes. I'm 45, so.
Well, we're Asian, so I could be. You don't know. I could be 65 for all you know. Like I could be a really good looking 65.
I can tell you're not because you don't have that one hair coming out the side.
Stu cuts that. He cuts that every morning.
It's CGI. It's removing it. You can't see it because the face cleaning.
Yeah. If you see him in person, it's actually painted green.
Yeah. It's for the green screen. Pat, this is my question to you. Let's say we released Shang-Chi on Disney Plus, but it had a watermark on it. And the watermark would say Pat Wong, and it would say your information on it. Somewhere on the film, like across the screen, it would say like Disney Plus, and then it'll have your name on it. But that's the only way you could see it. Would you be cool with that? Would you watch a movie that's watermarked, but it has your name and your information in case it got leaked, that you are the one to blame?
Is it in the way? Like
it has to be. Because if you can crop it out.
Super in the way. I just wouldn't want to watch it because it's super in the way.
So you go to the theater.
A bit about the information. I don't care. Disney has my information. I'm not gonna leak it.
No, just because technically for review copies, it has the watermark across. So if a review copy comes out, it has it. You just get used to it.
But I'm not gonna pay $30 to watch a copy. A version of any movie that has a watermark that's in the way.
Okay.
Right. Well, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, I understand that you put the whole name part, my name part, just to deter me from leaking it. Yep. Right. But that's irrelevant. You can put anything as a watermark over it, and I wouldn't pay $30 to watch it, because if that is the case, why wouldn't I just wait for it to get pirated by somebody who doesn't have the watermark, or watch it in theater? Which is kind of the cyclical conversation we're having, right? But what I'm saying is I would not pay $30 to watch a movie that's watermarked with anything.
Okay, so that's okay, great. John, would you watch a film that's watermarked for $30 but had your personal information on it?
100% no. That would annoy me too much.
Exactly. If you said if it was released free with my existing Disney Plus service, 100%.
But if it's in the theater only, and then the other option is you could watch it, but it's watermarked and for home if you want to be safe, would you?
Nope, definitely not.
Rob?
So, John, did you ever get screeners at your video store that had the watermark on it?
No, it was a semi-shady video store. So
okay, see, that's actually, you rented those ones out. So I also used to work in broadcasting, and
it was annoying.
In August of 2011, we received a screener copy for the first 2 episodes of 24. And then 9/11 happens. But I had watched those screener copies, and it does say like, you know, property of or screener copy along. And sometimes it would scroll at the bottom of the movie. These are still in VHS tapes, right? So I got used to it, but I would not want my personal information out there because I think in this day and age, anything can get hacked. I wouldn't want
worry
somebody
about getting framed.
Well, yeah, exactly. I don't want you know the FBI come knocking on my door
to frame Rob.
yeah, some fool hacking into my because I don't have two-factor authentication on my system. All of a sudden they come in.
That's your fault, Rob. That's your fault.
So no,
I wouldn't want
it. Here's a bigger question though: is that I paid in Ontario because we have the GST tax now through Apple when I paid through Disney Plus. Black Widow was $34.99 plus tax. It came to just shy of $40.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that was a kick in the nuts because it's coming out on Disney Plus free as long as you're a subscriber in October. I said this in my review. I would have waited. It wasn't worth it. My concern, I do have hesitancy that if Shang-Chi was released in theaters plus Disney Plus premium, I don't know if I'd be willing to drop $40 on another movie in which I wasn't like going to the theater. I know it sounds stupid. Going to the theater is one thing because it's an experience. There is something about, you know, my chair is reclined in the theater and, you know, hanging out with my son. We're watching
You can
it.
get those at home. You can hang out with your son at home.
Shut up. We're making an event out of it, getting out of the house since we've been locked up in here. But to do it at home,
trailers at the beginning,
$40. That's a commitment, and it's one that I do regret. Oh, great! I own Black Widow, but I couldn't give two shits about it right now. Like
own it for as long as you have Disney Plus.
Maybe because you didn't like Black Widow as much. Maybe if Black Widow was awesome, you'd be okay with it.
I would have been okay. It's an interesting though. I would have been okay. Like, listen, I went and saw Fast 9. We can wait for my review, but I'm going to say, but I'm okay spending that money because it was something my son and I got to do. We got to get out of the house and experience being in the theater. I can accept that. It's like going to the casino. You win and lose, whatever. But if I was to pay $40 for Fast 9 and own it on like a subscription, I'd be pissed if I was watching it at home.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Last question, because that one clearly went longer than expected, but it was a great conversation. I have the two toy guys with me, so that's really important. So Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, No Way Home, toys are being leaked left, right, and center. We know stuff about the movie that should not be told because toys are coming out, whether Funko, Lego. This is now an industry where we know manufacturing has to come way before. You need stuff that's made from, you know, descriptions and things way before because they got to manufacture in China to then get it made and then produced and sent overseas. But all the leaks right now coming over from Spider-Man No Way Home, from Shang-Chi, like we knew months in advance stuff that we shouldn't have known based on Lego and on all the other things. Does that ruin stuff? Are you looking at toys? Because John, someone who sells toys, you have to kind of look at it. So do you have to go with the goldfish mindset of like, hopefully you can forget it? Or because I think Rob and myself can try to avoid it as much as possible. It's hard.
Yeah, the general public is not going to stumble across these. Yeah.
Or Pat, who's a toy collector, who is looking into researching. The two of you, give me your thoughts. Like, how does this affect your enjoyment of everything? Because the toys are leaking left, right, and center.
John, you want to go first?
Yeah. My answer is pretty much short. I think it's fine. I don't care. Like, what can be spoiled in a toy? If that can break your movie, then yeah, you got to work on your movie a little bit more. And it's something that needs to happen. Like this actually came up the other day in the shop. So Shop Talk, Andre was talking about the show Rebels and the fact that there was a lack of a toy line to accompany the show to help popularize it. And now you have Bad Batch out now, which has a toy line to kind of go along with it. Obviously, they're having all kinds of distribution issues, you know, pandemic issues, whatever. So you can't even buy all of them at once right now. But I think they need it. Like the Shang-Chi toys we've had for, I want to say a couple months now. Who knows if they would have came out on time if the movie was on its regular schedule. But having those toys out is definitely going to help with the name of that movie when it drops. Like if people enjoy it and they're able to go buy a Simu action figure.
I think it's all sold out now. Like I can't even go to Walmart. Like I went to Walmart.
We have them. We have them here at the store. We got tons. But looking at those figures, just staring at them, I know exactly what the entire line looks like. I can't think of a thing that could be breaking of your movie to spoil via that, unless you write actually a script on the back of the package, which is easy to avoid. So I'll let Pat go with the rest.
The thing about these toys is that Marvel and Hasbro, they're very good at making toys out of every single thing. So what happens is they make a toy out of something, and then they know it comes out before the movie. So you look at these toys, but it trains you, if you're a toy collector, to know that it might not actually be that relevant, even if it feels like it's relevant, right? I remember when we were talking about the Shang-Chi movie, they released the toys, they released pictures of the toys of the Lego months ago. And then there was that white dragon thing that everybody was like, oh, what is that white dragon?
Yeah,
and,
Fing Fang Foom.
Yeah, it's not. But like
It's
builds,
Sisu.
yeah, I know, it feels like it. It feels like it actually built a little bit of hype had the toys come out, and then a month or two later the movie came out, right? Shang-Chi again is a little bit of a weird spot because the toys came out so long ago, and then the movie not coming out for almost like a year after, right?
Well,
But
the same thing with Bond. That watch came out a long time ago. Like they usually like everything about Bond is basically like an advertisement for guys for Rob and be like, this will make a watch.
Watches, to the fact that they're actually going in and now digitally changing the phones because they are 2-year-old models and they need to be current, because those are the deals that they sign with Ericsson and Sony and everything else, that they have to have show the newest generation of phone.
It's gonna be like a floating phone in his head.
yo, Bond is the only movie I've seen the trailer for over like 2 years. We saw the trailer for Bond when we last watched Gemini Man before the pandemic. And then we saw the trailer again when we saw Fast 9.
It's a New Mutants all over again.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, the New Mutants.
Yeah, going back to that toy conversation, Stu. Like the toys come out and it actually builds a lot of hype for some people who might not care. Like if you don't care about Shang-Chi and you pick up the toy and you see a toy dragon, you're like, yo, that's kind of cool. I might want to watch it. They're very, very good at not spoiling things with the toy line. There was one toy that actually spoiled something, but I'll let John finish his thought first.
Oh no, I was just gonna mention, the Marvel TV shows. They had the John Walker figure, and he came the figure from the actual line came in the black costume. So you're like, is that really a spoiler? Not really, you know.
Right. There was one toy that actually had a spoiler. I remember was that there was which was the Star Wars movie that Anakin lost his hand. Whichever movie that
Attack
was.
of the
toys
Clones.
came
Attack
out
of the
before
Clones.
the movie.
Yeah.
The toys came out before the movie, and the Anakin figure, the hand fell off. So then they packaged it in a way that you can't see the hand falling, like because there's a joint in it and it's cut together by magnets. So if you bought that toy, right, and you didn't like read the spoiler warning on the packaging, the arm would fall off. You're like, what the hell? But it's supposed to, because he loses an arm in the movie. Carry on.
Whoa, spoiler alert.
Nice.
Yeah, that was the last time I saw a spoiler.
That's
On a toy, but it was branded as such.
so. Rob, as a non-target toy guy, do you care about the toys coming out so far in advance with potential spoilers and all this stuff? Do you even pay attention to that outside of me sending stuff in the chat?
Yeah, that's really good when you wake up and you say, oh, here's the ending of Shang-Chi.
Here's a Lego set that features the entire final sequence.
That's right. You know what? So I'm an interesting kind of guy. Like I think I have like a great memory for a lot of things. When it comes to a lot of these spoiler stuff, I'm kind of like a best before date. Up to a certain point, I'll stop seeing anything. Like there was recently some spoilers that came out on Shang-Chi in the last week. And I'm not going to look at them because I was like, I want to be able to, this movie is like 5 weeks out. Anything pre 5 weeks, I usually forget. So like these Lego sets that came out and we were talking about them, I think on the Sidekick Show or even on the What I Miss show on the Thursdays. We talked about them, I think in April or May. I can't remember what half of them even look like now. So it doesn't affect me. I don't retain a lot of that stuff. That's why I can look at these behind the set photos of what Sasha Cole looks like as Supergirl on The Flash, or seeing, the Batfleck outfit on the bike and everything else like that on these streets. That's great. But I don't really retain a lot of that information because the movie's like still another year and a half away. So when it comes to these toy figures and this and that, yeah, I'm like, oh, cool, I get to see. But I'm just like, I don't go into the theater and be like, oh, I remember there was supposed to be a black suit this coming out. Now, that being said, I am fully aware there's a black suit Spider-Man. It's supposed to be debuting in Spider-Man No Way Home. And I think because we've been hit in the face with so much information, so even if you're avoiding toy sites, it's everywhere because there's a lack of a stupid trailer for a movie that's coming out 4 months from now. And so you can't now help but know that you are going to be certain things happening. So
Lego's also really good at making Lego sets for things that don't happen in the movie.
100%.
yes,
agree, yeah.
they put that thing saying inspired by the movie,
Yeah.
right?
When Endgame came out, they released a really cool looking like War Machine, Hulkbuster style armor. It wasn't in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, like Lego just like, you know, I'm just waiting for the Thanos helicopter. Like, this is what I want. You know, like, these are things. Yeah.
So-
Well, that's why Lego has the Spider-Mobile. Every Spider-Man movie has always been a Spider-Mobile for Lego sets, and you're like, okay, pretty soon Peter Parker's going to be driving a car, and he's not.
So
The only movie property that the Lego did where everything was actually in the movie was the Batman Lego movie, and like the Lego movie.
yeah, because it was
Everything
in the
else
movie.
just don't exist.
Yep.
Yeah, because Lego Batman, it makes sense that everything is in there for Lego Batman. So
Every single minute, every single thing that popped up for even 3 seconds, gotta figure.
of course, product integration. All right, we're wrapping up. This was a really fun one, and it went by super fast than expected. So, John, where can we find you on the internets and in the desert of the real?
Yeah. So internet, Heroes World Online. You can follow our Instagram, follow our Facebook for all the latest updates. It'll link you directly to the website as well as this YouTube channel. If you're listening on the audio Heroes World podcast on your iTunes, Spotify, whatever your preferred method is. If you're on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating, and that would help us out a lot. And if you are available in Markham, Ontario, we do have our physical store is open almost 7 days a week. Some Sundays we rotate in and out, but we are available for you to come in and look around. We have a lot of stuff. The website doesn't have everything up there, so you definitely want to come in. We get the new comics every week on Wednesdays. We do post all kinds of updates, like I said, on the online, and Andre does a video segment on Tuesdays as well. So definitely come in and check us out. Felix and Norton right next door. So if you're looking for some good dessert options, because I know everybody wants to, a little bit of sweet something during this pandemic, a good option to order your cookies and drop by and say what's up to us. So thank you, everybody. And thank you, everybody, for always sharing, liking, subscribing, watching our live shows, and getting into our shenanigans. We have a lot of fun with you guys. So it's a pleasure to interact with everybody. So get at us in the comments.
The last Felix Norton brick and mortar place and all.
Yeah, the last one. There's no more. Yeah,
brick and mortar. No, it doesn't exist anywhere else. So this is
the best cookie.
unicorn.
I think the best cookie. If you want a sweet cookie, that is the best.
The unicorn that is Felix Norton / Heroes World in a collab. Let's do this. Rob, where can they find you on the interwebs and what's going on?
Yeah, so you can find John and I do the Sidekick Show every Monday night at 8:00 Eastern on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. But tomorrow, John is taking.
Or whenever you watch this, I don't know when it's coming out. So.
Sure. Okay, fine. You can watch this every Monday night. But however, tomorrow, Monday, August 2nd, John is taking the evening off. Apparently, he's.
I gotta watch this shirt.
Well, no, it's more that you were actually you're getting custom prosthetics made for your shoes. You needed to be a bit more bouncy and you're running for basketball. You're trying out for Canada's national team. So congrats to John.
I think John was trying to make 2 mannequins so he could sit him in between at the movie theaters. So he'd have a bunch of people sitting around him so that
that didn't work well with his HOV lane deception because he got about 5 tickets. However, so with John not going to be around tomorrow, Stu is going to join me as well as Tim Baradas, a friend of the podcast and also co-host of the Fight Insight podcast. We're going to talk a little more of like a mixed bag of topics, kind of going a little bit on what we discussed today, and also talking about fandom and a whole bunch of other things. So definitely join us in the chat. YouTube chat seems to be the more prevalent chat. So if you have an opportunity to join everybody there, and we're just going to be talking a lot about just a bunch of shit, to be honest with you, having a lot of fun and joking and drinking and whatnot. I'm going to get Stu to do a shot. So that's tomorrow, 8 book.
Sure.
8 p.m.
Stu's fine with that.
Sure. I have my Patron ready. I have I'm all in.
Also, I don't want to shortchange the fact that John and Pat here, as well as John's brothers Chris, they host the So What I Miss show on Thursday nights, 8:30 on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can join them.
Which Rob is skipping.
This week I'm skipping. I'm off to see Suicide Squad. I got my tickets, so I'm out.
Pat.
So this Thursday, we're going to be talking about how bad Suicide Squad is as Rob. We're gonna
How?
not watch
when
it.
are you gonna watch it? And how
We're gonna
about
check
it?
we're gonna check the early reviews and talk about it.
They're out now.
They're out now.
Certified fresh.
Certified
Mofo.
100%.
Is it certified fresh?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean,
It
we'll
is.
see. We'll see what happens on Thursday.
Unlike that coffee you've been drinking for the last little while.
That movie is fresh, just like the Marvel What If stuff is dropped already. Because when it's good, everyone just let it build up the hype, man.
Lift that embargo right away.
Embargo. Well,
Yes.
I think also because the DC movie came out already on the 30th in the UK, so they're like, we gotta, it's out. So it's out in the UK before us here. I think there's in America they're trying this whole thing too about other markets that are cool. Maybe Australia not anymore, but the UK seems to be okay. So they're gonna release it in other markets first and then send it out to America afterwards. So it'll be
Interesting.
So yes, if you want to see more Pat Thursday, they'll be talking about stuff.
Whatever new came out, whatever big news came out that week. Sometimes we have live updates.
Sometimes not. Sometimes it's old.
Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
Sometimes we're gonna talk there, and the next one they're gonna talk about old Columbia House CDs that Pat's gonna bring up.
Yeah,
Like,
we're gonna do a whole episode. I do have to shout out Andre's upcoming interview with Ho Chi Anderson, writer of Luke Cage City on Fire. That should be dropping sometime this week.
Awesome.
Sweet. So hit your notification bells for that.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for listening, watching, subscribing. Again, if you can do what you can, help your local store. Go visit, buy something, anything. They greatly appreciate it. And yeah, tons of content coming out on Heroes World Online. Keep posted. Let us know in the comments what else you want to see. Do you want us to, talk about more stuff, less stuff? Or if you have a
rom-com bracket, Stu wants the rom-com bracket,
baby. The Marvel Cinematic Universe rom-com bracket brought to you by Felix and Norton. This is our.
Oh yeah, so every person that's been in a Marvel movie that's also been in a rom-com, those movies would qualify for this Marvel rom-com showdown.
13 going on 30.
100%. I came up with it right now. Sorry.
13 going on 30. That's Jennifer Gardner.
Pat, we already said. All right, that was immediately. I said that already. 13.
Jennifer Garner and Mark Ruffalo.
No, you said How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, didn't you? Or was that wrong?
No, that was
me.
That was wrong.
Oh, that's wrong.
What? That's Matthew McConaughey and
that girl, Katherine Heigl, isn't it?
No, it's not. Katherine Heigl's the one in 27 Justice. Oh my God.
Katherine Heigl is in How to Lose a Guy in.
It's Goldie Hawn's daughter, right? Isn't it Goldie Hawn's daughter? Kate Hudson.
Hudson.
This guy.
Oh
this guy knows all of it.
She was in some small movie, Rob. I don't know.
That was it. How did I forget that?
Some movie with a rock band. I don't know what it was.
Almost famous. Almost famous.
Yeah, it was a joke. Come on. Yeah, I think we can do a rom-com battle of MCU stars because all of them have done one, and I think if you pick the best one, you could do a whole tournament on that.
I don't want to do that.
John.
Does Don John count with Scarlett Johansson?
It's Don Juan.
Don Juan? Don Juan?
John. So this is what we're gonna do. The next time Rob is away, we're gonna do a Marvel MCU rom-com tournament of champions, and then you pick every Marvel heroes, everyone of the MCU's best romantic comedy. Pick their number one, and then they'll battle off.
Translation.
So who's that?
Scarlett Johansson.
Oh,
Scarlett Johansson has a
oh yeah, that's one of her key roles. Yeah,
that's a few.
The Island, also Scarlett Johansson.
That's not really.
That's not a rom-com, dummy.
It kind of is. The Prestige.
Michael Bay directed a rom-com. Is that what
The Prestige.
Some people would say it was a comedy.
Prestige.
I hate that movie so much, but that's a different conversation.
Oh,
I hate that movie
it's
so much.
It's just like saying A Beautiful Mind is a romantic comedy because Paul Bettany is in it. This is it is a thing. Anyways, thank you for joining us in our nonsense. This was a good time. I look forward to the MCU rom-com tournament coming to you in the future, presented by Felix and Norton. So there we go. Thank you, everyone. See you later.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Pat.
Peace.